Welcome back. Tonight, it's episode number 7 of my Exploring a 10K series. Tonight, we get to the good stuff. We're going into item 8. That's the financial statements. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Off to Tesla. Here we are again, back at Tesla's financial statements for the year ended 2023. Tonight, as I mentioned, we're dropping into item number 8, the financial statements and supplementary data. Most of the time when I talk about a 10K, this is what I'm talking about. These are where you go to the company's financial statements. This is the good stuff. This is what you're looking for. And so tonight we're going to briefly touch on what each of these different items are here in the table of contents for Tesla. And then we'll scroll through them briefly so I can show you what's going on there. And in my next episodes, I'll talk through each one in more detail, why they matter, why you should care, maybe what you should be looking out for. And then subsequent to that, I'll do some interpretation probably as I go through them myself. So here we go. Okay, in the financial statements, the first thing that you'll see is the report of the independent accounting firm. And so this is the auditor's report. I'm not going to show you, we're not going to talk through today what's in there, but what's most important is this sentence right here. This is the opinion. This is where they highlight for you what they thought of these financial statements, and in their opinion, these are presented fairly. So it's critical. We'll talk more about that in a future episode. There's additional content. Again, talk through it further. The first financial statement for Tesla is their balance sheet. Companies have the option of presenting these financial statements in ways that matter to them. Most companies that I think about, I look at the balance sheet first. What is a balance sheet? A balance sheet is a summary of assets, liabilities, and equity position of the company. And so you can see that here. This is a summary of assets, liabilities, and the equity position of Tesla. That's all a balance sheet is. It's a point-in-time summary of assets and liabilities. That's all it is. Some companies may prefer to have their statement of operations included first. Statement of operations is a periodic statement of the activity that's happened over time. And so in this case, Tesla's presented the years 21, 22, and 23. With SEC filings like this, you do have to do a 3-year presentation, so that's exactly what you'd expect to see. And this includes their results of operations, so their revenues, their cost of sales, their operating expenses, all the way down to net income, as well as some data around stock-based data too. And so we'll talk about that more in detail in a future episode. The statement of income, the income statement, is often presented separately, but can be presented together with the statement of comprehensive income. I kind of think of these as the same thing, because the statement of comprehensive income, which we'll talk about again in another episode, is providing additional information about like cash inflows, cash outflows, or the gains and losses related to other income, right? Other comprehensive income. Most of the time, the biggest one of those is going to be foreign translations. But as you can see, there are several different things that can impact comprehensive income. The next statement is the statement of equity. This one has some additional stuff, some non-controlling interest that it's included as well. But critically, this is the statement of equity. This summarizes the different classes of shares, as well as all of the activity impacting those classes of shares for the periods that are being reported on. At the bottom is where you find the good stuff. We'll talk about this more in the future episode. And then the final statement that summarizes the statements that are required under GAAP is the statement of cash flow. This one is done in the indirect method. We can talk more about that in the future as well. But what it aims to show you as the user of the financial statements is cash provided by operations, cash provided by investing, and cash provided by financing. we will talk more about what all those things mean, but this is the last of the statements. A set of financials is not complete without the notes to the financial statements. And the notes provide additional information about all of the things that we just talked about the balance sheet, about the income statement, about the comprehensive income statement, about the equity activity, about the cash flows. And you can find out a lot about a company by just looking at their notes. There's lots of them for public companies. There's loads of notes, loads of detail in these notes. And again, we'll go through this in more detail in the future. Once you get past note number 2, which is typically the summary of significant accounting policies, that's when you can get into the position of some more detail specific to a variety of balance sheet items. And so we'll scroll down to those so I can show you at least one or two. And again, when we go more in depth here with Tesla, we'll see those in more clarity. And so here you go. So we've got digital assets, a summary of those. We've got goodwill and a summary of those. Fair value of financial instruments with tables and supporting schedules and everything. And so they're inventory by different classes, right? So each thing that's material on the balance sheet is going to have some type of support associated with it, and it's going to provide you additional information around that. And that's all here in the notes to the financial statements. And so again, in a future episode, we'll go through exactly what this means to Tesla and talk through what where these things come from, what the requirements are, a lot of different things around that. But for this time, these are the notes to the financials. That's the end. Okay, and so I've provided for you a very high-level summary of what's included in a financial statement. That's the information that's included in item 8 of a 10K. In our next episode, we'll talk through the auditor's opinion, and then the episode after, the balance sheet, the income statement, the statement of cash flow, and then the notes to the financials. So I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to check out my behind the scenes episode for this episode as I do some editing tricks. I add some music to my end screen, and we'll see what else happens. So again, I'll see you in the next one.